Step 4, diction. It's vitally important that you understand the true, authentic sound of each syllable that you're going to be presenting. And Italian is very easy. There's only 7 vowel sounds. French has 13, for example. If you're a voice coach, doesn't have this skill, perhaps you'd want to seek out a diction coach, a language diction coach. And I would recommend that you seek out someone who is also a singer themselves or who understands the singing voice. Because one could go to an academician at a college or somebody who speaks the language fluently, but they don't have the singer's point of view in mind, and so what can end up happening is that you overclose vowels, for example, in French, and close off the singing sound, close the throat. So you want to be with somebody who has an ear for the open throat and the correct singing sound if you're going to be studying your diction with that person. Often you'll find that your voice coach can serve as your diction coach as well as your pianist. And later I want to talk about the distinction between voice teachers and coaches. I'll add another one, and pianists and repetiteurs. One needs a team, but I'll get to that later. It's important that anything that you're undertaking to prepare, that you repeat, because mastery comes through repetition. If your coach or your teacher gives you something to work on, doing it once or twice is not enough. You need, like an athlete, you need to repeat it again and again and again until you're totally mastery of it. And when it comes to diction, this is vitally important so that you sound authentically stylish when you sing in a given language. And each language has its cultural differences and also its peculiarities in pronunciation and way of effectively presenting it in a way that sounds authentic. We Americans are very adept at singing in a variety of languages. Two examples, in Italian, for example, there's always a lean, an appoggia, on usually the penultimate syllable of a word. And that's very important that you caress that. Il mio core, for example. Not il mio core, but il mio core, you see. Then it becomes Italianate. Or in the French, be sure that you pronounce every first syllable of a word so that it comes out égal, equally pronounced, because there is no stress in the French language. These are little nuances and subtleties that one must undertake and master in order to sound stylish. Step 5 is the undertaking of discovering the historical context of the characters which you're presenting, or the poems which you're presenting, in the case of recitals. The code of etiquette, the morals, the dress, the way of doing things, the style of the period. For example, the code of honor, which is so prevalent in opera. One thinks of Verdi's La Forza del Destino or Hernani, which is based on the Spanish code of honor. We find that rather silly today. And it's hard to bring something to convincing life that we find silly. But if you go into the historical context and background of these points, then one begins to see why these things mattered so much, and one can bring them to convincing life. Also, let's take an example, Così fan tutte. Here you have Dorabella and Fiordiligi standing around in hoop skirts, and they had to stand a certain way and they had to move a certain way. So when one understands, or take Butterfly, wearing those tight little shoes and the kimono, you see. If one understands the historical context, then that also informs one's presentation. There are historical context coaches out there. I know a few of them. And it's a fascinating study. They've devoted their entire lives to finding out about these periods in which a lot of the operas were written.